Hi, I am Don.
And I am Bo.
My voice is going to be a little bit weird because I recently kicked the flu's ass.
New year, new you.
New Year.
New year, new you. Yeah.
Yeah, last thing we did was Dragon Age, and we did that at 1 a.m.
Oh, so there was a lot of yawning in that one.
Yeah, I apologize. There's going to be a lot of coughing in this.
So,
Yeah, that was the real us.
oh yeah, I saw
sneaky
that
there.
where he was like, "I would have just owned it more." I think I owned it pretty well.
Okay,
but
now-
not to argue with you, sir.
Yeah, now there's a common complaint with all podcasts, and that's that you don't want to delay your topic. We're talking about Nier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Nier,
We're
all about business.
Not
So
Nier Automatapo Namanapo Nier.
Automatopoeia,
Onomatopoeia Nier.
Nier
No.
Automatopoeia.
No, I have nothing against the new Nier, except that I distinctly remember the Nier Automata reveal, and it was like the one thing that actually affected me in video game related because like a sequel to Nier, how? Spoilers. We're gonna dig into exactly why that was surprising. In this, I played Nier back in 2010 when it first came out, or 2011, probably not around that about time.
What was it? Xbox 360.
Yeah, it was very. Initially, upon its release, I don't think it was that big of a hit. I gauged that by it being in the pre-owned $5 at GameStop.
Was it still Square Enix?
Yes.
Okay.
That 2010, I had just graduated college, and I was gaming on a budget. I needed distractions, so I picked up Deadly Premonition and Nier, and they basically characterized my gaming life from 2010 till Mass Effect 3, in which case it went right back to Nier.
Nier is the sequel to Drakengard, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Drakengard is okay. People who made Nier, Kavia, they're Yoko Taro. They also made Drakengard, which is it's a pretty. On the surface, it's a pretty standard hack and slash fantasy. Only the conceit is that the protagonist who hacks and slashes his way through the game is not a very good person. Anyone who just gets off on murder like that, even if it's bad people he's murdering, is still a psychopathic murderer. And none of the endings there are particularly good.
And good on Drakengard for addressing that.
Yeah, Yoko Taro, he's a brilliant man, and that he hates a lot of.
Right.
things.
Yeah. I remember watching a pay-per-view from the past when the WWE Network first came out, which I don't think anyone is currently still subscribed to. But I remember there was a pay-per-view that was actually the whole thing was posted by Drakengard, and there was like Drakengard everywhere during this whole pay-per-view, and I remember getting really excited and sending you through Adam, I think, a screenshot of Jerry the King Lawler standing in front of this big Drakengard banner. But yeah, so
it's not a very fun game, but it's very memorable because it's just everything you expect from a fantasy setting. It turns on its head, and not in the high art way. It's just like, hey, here's an elf village that has a child prostitution and or slavery and then later genocide ring, all in very quick succession.
Yeah, and it was kind of it kind of like because
there is a elf chick who ate her children for some reason.
You never really find out why.
Yeah, I really like the you have your party conversation. Hey, there's this new character. Yeah, she should probably go to like a convent or somewhere where she can be prevented from harming herself or others. And then Kaim doesn't speak because he made a deal with a dragon and gave up his right to speak to fly a dragon, which I'd do it.
I would do it.
But yeah, he says, no, I've got a better idea. A new character has joined your party, which I can respect. But anyway, brass tacks, Drakengard ends on ending E with you and an evil goddess, you flying your dragon to fight an evil goddess, a giant evil goddess, and you get pushed through a dimensional portal to modern contemporary Japan, whereupon you engage in a rap battle, which results in the goddess dissolving into just a kind of a big snowstorm of salt. And then the Japanese Defense Force shoots you down. And the dragon you're riding gets impaled on a tower. And
Tokyo Tower?
Yeah, and that is the end of Drakengard ending E. Now, Cavia is not known for good video games. They put out the rail shooter Resident Evil games.
Oh.
Do you ever play Survivor? Resident Evil Survivor.
Oh my God, yeah. There's a reason they're not remaking those.
I'm evil. No. You're investigating the evil guy. I remember.
Good times.
No children die in that game, which is a Cavia first, I think. They really hate kids.
Oh, yeah.
That comes through really heavily in Drakengard. Comes through heavily in Nier, too. Not so hard. It's a little more artsy, but it comes through. Anyway, this is... Nier satisfies a lot of little niches for me. I don't care much about gameplay as long as it's serviceable. If the gameplay's too good, I feel bad about being shit at it. So, a perfectly decent Zelda-ish hack and slash with a really interesting conceit is what I'm looking for. And this is saying, like, okay, so let's just say, what if tomorrow a evil goddess from another dimension evaporated over your town? Would the bacteria that came along with her that would be like I'm pretty sure the EPA would consider that like a contaminant. The the Indiana DNR would put up posters saying this is an invasive species. And it is. Let's just go straight into the backstory of Nier. Not too long after this what the fuck rap battle between ancient gods, before we could even process that, people start getting sick. Not all at once. Like every now and again, somebody gets sick and their body just decomposes into a salt pillar. There's no... The medical community is a little bit baffled by this. There's a few press releases like, we're working on it. We're not really sure how exactly the body can just completely conservation of mass turn itself into salt, but we're trying. But it's probably not a huge deal. It's only happened to like 1 out of every 5,000 people in this one, and it's just Shinjuku, Japan. I mean, would you miss it? In fact, we're gonna build a wall because that always works. We're gonna call it the Wall of Jericho just to make sure it stays up. Get
it because it didn't.
And this mysterious contaminant, these little particles of this goddess that's trickling down everywhere. Turns out these people who get infected and start turning into salt, not all of them die. Some of them turn into salt monsters.
Oh.
It turns into a bit of a Resident Evil thing. It's not... At first, they think, okay, there's got to be a rational, reasonable explanation for all this. Look, obviously, FBI crime statistics will bear this out. Certain people have a predisposition to turning into salt monsters instead of just pillars of salt. Unfortunately, Ben Shapiro, that is incorrect. We are not dealing.
And you'll agree with me.
We are not
certain
we
people.
are not dealing with FBI's crime statistics. We are dealing with ancient gods from another dimension that do not operate by our gods.
Such as Ben Shapiro.
Yes. Anyway, medical community, there's like little... You get, throughout the game, throughout your standard fantasy flair, you'll get like Resident Evil Doomsday notes. Just randomly.
So this takes place in contemporary Japan.
Right now we are in 2004 Japan.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, so at first we thought it was genetics, and it turns out biotruths is bullshit. Turns out in Drakengard universe, if you encounter a god or a godlike figure, you can make a pact with them for power. Generally speaking, this is going to go against you because the god has more power in the relationship, and you can't unionize in this situation.
No.
And unfortunately, this is not like a beneficial pact between a dragon where you give up your right to speak and he lets you ride him. This is an evil goddess who is butt mad that she got rap battled to death in Tokyo, Japan, and it wants to wreck Earth. And she has a lot of power to do this. She doesn't have a body anymore, but everyone she comes into contact with is now forced into a pact. Would you like to help me destroy humanity? If no, turn to Salt Pillar. If yes, turn to Salt Monster. And this, of course, spreads like zombies. through bites, through attacks. If you get messed up by a salt monster, you're going to become one yourself.
But you don't have the choice.
You don't have a choice.
So you can't.
You can choose not to. You can choose not to become one. But you're gonna have the choice: die or join. Some people are gonna join, and occasionally, eventually, there's one guy who shows up with red eyes, and he rules them all. It's not that important. Basically, Basically, the salt monsters start organizing. They form their union, and the self-defense force starts losing ground because apparently, when you just build a wall and call it a day, the wall eventually comes tumbling down. Salt monsters just keep spreading, and the Americans start nudge, winking. I got an easy way to solve this, and like maybe we shouldn't. We still don't know exactly what the hell's going on here. I mean, we've got the dragon in stasis, and we've figured out that it came from another universe. And we have also figured out that it's made of these weird particles that don't obey our laws of physics, which means we can just use them to draw energy from other universes to do whatever we want.
Of course, that's the exact thing I would go
I mean,
yeah.
This is complete risk-free magic. Risk-free. Now, as liberals will point out, if you use particles from the goddess, you get the pact. But the dragon is dead, therefore it's safe.
Right.
So we're going to use the dragon particles to fight the evil goddess particles. This is all very scientific. Unfortunately, we need a lot of child soldiers to pull this off.
And they have to be child soldiers.
They have to be child soldiers.
Have to be.
If you're over the age of 13, the temporary vaccine against the goddess particles do not work. It's not a permanent vaccine. If you come into contact with those particles, she will fuck your shit up. But if you're under 13 and you have this vaccine or some kind of magic treatment, if you've been turned into the ultimate magical bioweapon, you can last for a while and do some cool shit.
Yeah.
Through this, some kids get turned into books of tomes of immense scientific magical knowledge.
Oh, of course.
And they are being used as a last ditch because it turns out America went with the just nuke it option, and the salt monsters in that particular region disappeared. Problem solved. 1 week later, Korea, China, Russia all have basically everywhere everywhere there was a wind stream. To carry particles, say, lifted up by a nuclear blast, there are now cases of people succumbing to white chlorination syndrome.
Oh, is that what they call it?
White chlorination syndrome.
I like that.
You become like every
WCS.
You get it. Yeah, it's WCS. You get infected. You slurp, like your extremities start getting tasty. I can't. Rick, Rick, you got a week left. I can't help it. It's too tasty. My hand is.
It's like a made of tater chips.
There's some horror movies about like deer breaking into an orphanage for WCS victims. My God. I don't know exactly. I don't know if WCS can. I don't know if the goddess particles can make pacts with deer. That's a terrifying thought.
Oh God, it'd be over. It'd be over.
But anyway, once the nuke it option not only fails but fucks things up even worse, to the point where there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Like, okay, so guys, it turns out, okay, we know that the goddess particles need a human body to make the pact with. So what if we left our bodies and waited for her to leave? Just run with me on this. See, we turned these kids into books, and using magical science, we've engineered this idea. We're going to take our souls, or a soul template that we've created through these dragon particles. Look, we've got funding, so we're rich people are really desperate to not turn into salt, apparently. So Elon Musk has been very generous. So now
what a pioneer!
Yeah,
what a pioneer!
So now the rich people of the world are all turning into these creatures, these gestalts. Just they're themselves perfectly. They're just themselves. They just have no body because their body is susceptible to turning into salt, which sucks. And their bodies are going to be replaced eventually with replicants, just clones of them. And when the time is right and these clones start, they're just going to keep growing these clones until these clones stop dying.
Has the game started yet?
No. we've got a ways to go. But unfortunately, a lot of these, it turns out when you just rip someone out of their body and it's like, okay, just hang out here. We don't know how this might take a few thousand years, but eventually these particles are going to be gathered up in all these clones, and we're going to ship them back across the dimensional border, and everything will be okay. Can you hold out that long? Yeah, I got 1,300 years in me. It's been 13 minutes. Wait, I thought it'd been a century. No, it's been 15 minutes.
Right.
So yeah, it turns out the human soul really needs a body to hold itself together, unless it's got some kind of direction. So they sent out Grimoire Noir, who is and he is looking for someone who has who just has the touch, the power to hold himself together. The RoboCop, who can take this new form, who has something driving him. And this is when the game starts, by the way. You start
your Grimoire.
You start the game. You're not Grimoire Noir. You are Gary Busey. In the Western version of the game, you play as Gary Busey. In the Japanese version of the game, you play as a Bishi tween kid with a sword. The older brother. In the Western version, you play as Gary Busey, the dad.
Okay.
Ugly dad.
Okay.
In Japanese, you play as handsome Oni-chan brother.
Why the difference between the versions?
Cultural version. Apparently, Americans just test better with awesome dad.
But these characters are present in both versions.
And not in both versions, no.
Okay, so the story. Okay,
it's the same story, but you play as a different person in both games. It's it's Pokemon Red and Blue, except Gary Busey, Japanese anime protagonist.
Oh, okay.
And Gary Busey is just he's holed up in a grocery store, and it's boarded up, and his little girl's coughing. He's like, "Oh, this cough's not getting any better." And then there's this black book, and it's saying "Hey, give me your soul, and I can fix all of this. Shut up!" He kicks it away. But then that wakes this girl up, and she starts coughing, and he's freaking out because turns out Japan is not in a good way right now. This village he is in, this city he is in, has been completely walled off.
So, but they didn't have to give up their bodies.
No, this is still new. The governments of the world are still trying to figure out how to make that work.
Okay.
And a bunch of the ones that have not worked are rampaging right now. So law and order in his district is basically not there. They're under quarantine. Mm-hmm. But Grimoire Noir is looking for the ideal subject. And he's been trying to talk it up with this dad who is trying to save his little girl who is dying of something. She's coughing, and it's a terminal illness that he knows he can't get treatment for, so she probably has WCS. And he is just trying to keep her alive. He's trying to find food for her. That's why he's in the grocery store, but the grocery store's been looted. And they're not safe because there are those gestalts, the crazy gestalts are outside and they're attacking. He doesn't know
what
exactly.
What form do they take?
They look vaguely humanoid.
Okay.
But they can take any form they want because they're just souls.
Right.
And they start breaking into the gas station. At this point, it's just a standard zombie horror. He picks up a steel pipe and just fights them for as long as he can. But eventually, one of them just gets a hit in and knocks him on his ass. At which point, he finally just breaks down, touches Grimoire Noir, and says, "Give me power to save my daughter." And you rapidly start gaining levels. You just hack and slash with a pipe through the shades, which is what the colloquial term is what you're dealing with, and you start gaining really cool powers. You gain
rapidly.
Very rapidly. You gain. You have reached level 5. Here's Dark Lance. You can impale enemies in a row with this. Here is level 10. You can pound the ground and impale enemies with deadly blood spikes.
Oh, that's sick, yeah.
It's really
Sick.
cool.
Yeah.
Here's level 15. You get giant red fists that you can Donkey Kong punch from
sweet.
from heaven. Like, okay, this deal doesn't seem that bad. So you clear out and like, okay, priority 1, Yona, your daughter. Where is she? Okay, she's fine. She's safe, and she found a cookie. And she has and that is her favorite food. It's the only cookie left in the world as far as she knows, but she's giving half of it to you because you need to keep your strength up. And you hide it in your pocket so you can give it to her later. But then she starts coughing really bad, and then more monsters attack. And you tell her to wait there. You go out and you fight up even more monsters, big monster, and then you hear her coughing even more. You run in, and it turns out she made the same deal with Grimoire Noir so she could get rid of her cough so her dad wouldn't have to keep worrying. But the process isn't going very well. And this is when Gary Busey starts calling out for help. Anyone, help. And then the
What
camera,
isn't going well about it?
she is, it's just not going well. We don't know. She's
Okay.
like, there's some black scrawl. There's weird glyphs, but she's just coughing, obviously in pain, and she's calling out for help. And the camera pans back, drifts through the modern dead city that's been walled off. It's snowing in summer. Because
Bad.
it turns out when you introduce magic to a non-magical universe, Earth will just stop orbiting the way it should. And the music is just great. It's haunting. And you're like, okay, I hope Gary Busey finds help. And 1,300 years later, Gary Busey is wearing leather armor from maybe the navel down, everything else perfectly nude. He's got the nips out.
You got the guns.
He's got the nips out. He's showing off. He's Gary Busey, but he's fucking ripped.
You got arms like these.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, and he's living in a medieval village, and he's got his daughter.
And she's fine.
She's fine. It's the same. It's the same Gary Busey, same Gary
And he's
Busey
just
daughter.
living in the town.
He's just living.
He's not the king or anything.
Nope. He's just some guy. In fact, people don't really seem to take him that serious. He's just like the handyman everyone gives jobs to because they know he needs money.
Smithy.
Yeah, because his girl's sick.
She's still sick?
She's sick. She's got a cough.
Oh, that was
She's got a really bad cough, and she has what is known as a chronic disease called the Black Scrawl. And in this village, that is a death sentence. It's 100% mortal. We don't really know exactly what went on.
Those 1,300 years.
Well, we do. Well, I do, but the village, the villagers, they don't know. This is just the way the world's always been. There was a world before this, but hell, that was 1,300 years ago.
What good does that do us, eh?
Look, there's still a
We're in now.
Look, there's robots up in that factory over there or some shit. We use it for sword metal. And there's shades that are constantly attacking us. God knows what they are. The sun never sets. It goes a little low on the horizon, then comes right back up.
So no night.
There is no night. Not on
No
this
moon.
Side. Not on this side of the planet.
Oh.
There is a moon, but we don't see it. It's look, some shit went down in the intervening years, but that's not important. What's important is his daughter's coughing. She needs Benadryl, and so he goes out. So he goes into town, like, hey, does anybody need jobs? Like, yeah, can you get me some mutton? Like from the store? No, there's some sheep outside. Why don't you go kill a sheep and give me some mutton?
So you have fetch quests.
Yeah, and like, well, okay, look, it's Gary Busey. He's down on his luck. He needs money. He needs to work.
Yeah. What's his actual name of the game?
Nier.
Oh.
I just call him Gary Busey because he's an ugly guy who's really cool.
Gary, if you're listening, you're fine just the way you are.
Look, when I say ugly, I mean that Japan probably wouldn't make an anime about you, and that's their fault.
That's that's their loss.
Like he's just not a conventionally handsome man who is.
No, he's not.
He's got magnetism. He has a certain magnetism about him, though. He has an earnest face.
I would trust him.
He fought off a werewolf in Silver Bullet.
Oh yeah.
And he does some crazy shit in this game. So
okay.
Anyway, you go. There's a sheep, like hanging out just outside the city walls. So okay, whatever. You sneak up on it, and then it
Like this dude is fighting Shades head
Yeah.
on, but the shit like roll, go and do this, roll in.
they will kill you.
Right?
They will donkey kick. They will rear back
in the game
and
they
donkey
will?
kick you,
Really?
and they will. You will not just. You won't just lose your footing. You will fly back off a cliff if you're in the wrong position. Sheep are deadly. Anyway, you finally kill enough sheep to get this bitch her fucking mutton, and she gives you money, and then you go like to give the medicine to your daughter. You're like, okay, yeah, this is not getting any better. So you go to Popola, who runs the village, along with her twin sister Devila. They both have red hair. They're both pretty nice personalities. They're you don't really get a sense of how old they are. Everyone's kind of like, yeah, they're leaders. They're old. They always have been. No, I don't want the job.
We likes tradition in this town. If it's been that way, it stays that way.
Popola hangs out in the library that has a shitload of books, most of which we can't reach because the ladder only goes up halfway. But,
Oh, they're the kids, aren't they?
what?
The kids that turned into books 1,300 years ago.
Oh, no. They're not.
Oh, that would have been.
That's another thing.
You know what? This
Anyway.
game just keeps pitching these curveballs, brother.
Popola hangs out in the mayor's office. Her sister, her no good sister, hangs out in the village square singing a really nice song that is completely diegetic. It gets louder as you get closer to her, and she hangs out like teaching the kids to read, dance, keep everyone's spirits up, while her sister hangs out like, okay, so our mutton production is down this year. Shade attacks are up. Everyone has jobs though, so we're pretty okay.
Unemployment zero.
I think we're okay. In fact, the only time our unemployment spikes is when Nier is done with a side quest, and it's because he works on a contract. He has no steady job. We really need to get him health benefits that would really solve all this. But anyway, she's like, okay, so Yona has the black skull. I'm really sorry about that. There is a fish that it won't cure the black skull, but it will make it so she won't feel pain. So you go to a seaside village, which is kind of a Venice situation, and you meet this asshole fisherman who who challenges you to fish, and this is one of the side quests that can and will trip you up because it says catch a fish at the beach. There's a beach right next to you. You try to fish there. You're trying to reel in sharks and whales when you don't have the skill level to do that. It is impossible to do it.
So, where's the beach?
On the other side of a mountain. Did I mention that I love Kavia? Because Kavia hates gamers. I can respect that. There is a side quest that is really easy to miss in the first part of the game. Once you beat the game once, you can go back and do side quests from the second part of the game. You cannot go back to the first part of the game without going to a completely new file. That is just to trip you up on the completionist side quests.
Oh my god!
And it's just one quest. Like you'll get there. You'll 49%. Yeah, that's probably all the quests in part one. No, there's one. You missed it. Anyway, you get the fish finally because you wised up and looked at your fucking journal. Literacy is a thing, guys. Cuba managed it.
Cuba did it better than we did.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. They got good sugar and good cigars. Got literacy. What more do you need?
Doctors too.
Doctors, they're exporting those son of bitches. We can't keep them here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Cuba actually has so many doctors that has to say, but yet
It
we're
makes sense.
told that this is some hellish landscape to the south. Yeah.
Anyway,
Cuba rocks.
Yeah, they don't have shades either.
They don't.
They don't have shades.
See, we have shades.
We have shades.
That's the problem.
We have
That's the problem.
disembodied corpses that just keep running things for us.
And sentient books.
Anyway, Nier takes this fish back to Popola, who makes the medicine. You give it to Yona, and she quiets down. Then she says, "Dad, I read in a storybook that there is a flower that grants wishes. Is that true?" And it's a little girl, and she's fucking dying. Yeah, there's a God. There's a heaven. There's wishes. There's wish granting flowers. You're gonna be okay, kid. And then you go off to do more side quests because you need to make money. You gotta hustle. Mm-hmm. Every day you're hustling.
Stay on that grind. Stay on that grind.
because that'll pay off one of these days, I'm sure. Anyway, you go back home.
Now I'm sad.
And you go back home, and Yona's missing. And then like the gears are grinding in Gary Busey's head. Like, Dad, wish flower grows only in Lost Shrine. Dental plan. Lisa
Dental
needs
plan.
braces. Dental plan. Lisa needs braces. Dental plan.
My favorite all-time episode of The Simpsons. It is on Disney Plus now. It's season 4, Last Exit to Springfield. It is the best episode of The Simpsons ever.
So he's like running full tilt. Fuck. because because the Lost Shrine is shade territory. You don't cross that side of the tracks. And so he cleaves his way into this shrine, which is actually more of a hotel. But it's been turned into a shrine. It's also turned into a crater for some reason. Shit went down. Magic shit went down. Who knows? You fight your way to... she has been laid out on an altar for some reason, and she's being guarded by 2 armored contraptions. They don't look like shades. They look like some kind of soul-imbued suits of armor. They're called Hansel and Gretel. But... yeah, they seem to be saying things, but at the same time, they're just kind of monsters. They're going. So you fight them. Unfortunately, you're getting your shit wrecked. I'm sorry. Before that, you find a book that is being anchored into a force field, and the force field between you and your daughter. So obviously, you're just gonna keep hitting it with a sword until the force field goes away, and that works.
That's what I do.
I mean, to Gary Busey's credit, this works. A book falls flat on its face, gets up, starts floating around, and chastising you for just waking it up by beating the shit out of it.
Does it look anything at all like the book from 1,300 years ago?
Yeah, actually.
Grimoire Noir?
It is. Oh, he calls himself Grimoire Vice.
Oh, so this one's Vice.
This is Vice.
Not to be confused with Noir.
Not to be confused with Noir.
Noir.
Anyway,
not Noir.
Anyway, Grimoire Vice has the voice of... I don't know the voice actor's name, but he's Severus Snape.
Oh,
He's basically Severus Snape. I am Grimoire Vice, a tome of great power. And then those statues come alive and start beating your shit out of you. Like, I could swipe these things down with a mere whisper. Well, do it. Fuck. You hit me too hard. I forgot all my powers. So you just keep wailing on it until like, wait, I remember how to use Dark Blast.
You gave me enough time. Alan Rickman, by the way.
Okay. It's not Alan Rickman.
It's not. I understand that, but
yeah.
it's like Alan Rickman.
And
yeah.
like, so you beat the shit out of both of them, and you do a cool finishing move. This is something the game does routinely. You don't just kill a boss with like a love tap on his last energy bar.
Because who wants to do that?
No, you take a Dark Lance, then you take 50 Dark Lances, turn them into one big Dark Lance, and pop a drill through their eye.
Oof.
And then they explode into a blood geyser. And like, okay.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
Well, Hansel's down. I'm pretty sure Gretel's not getting up. So you go to your daughter, you pick her up, and...
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's fine. She's dying. She's okay.
I get it. Yeah.
She is doomed beyond all fuck. She is doomed beyond all fuck. But yeah, she's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So she does a little cute little piggyback. Get on my back. I'll give you a piggyback ride to safety. And then Grimoire Vice floats out. So you get this comical look of you running outside, while the temple crumbles around you. And the Grimoire Vice is like, "Well, I'm glad we all learned something today."
Did she find the flower?
She did. She did find a flower. She did find the lunar tear. It has not granted her wish as of yet, but doesn't mean it's not going to work. Anyway, you go back to Popola, and you've got a flying, talking book with you, so she has some right to act a little bit like, okay, is that Grimoire Vice? Man, that's fucking cool. Wait, you know me? Oh, everyone knows about you, man. You've got like, here, let me tell you like a legend. Legend tells of a dark book called Grimoire Noir who leads an army of shades. And Then Grimoire Weiss, the army of white, comes to fight the shades and save
Nor
the
leads
world.
The shades.
Yeah, who are these shades?
Puzzling.
Like it's and Pope was like, oh, we don't really know. It's lost to history. Anyway, basically, you need to get. I understand Grimoire Weiss has had some memory loss. You need to fix that by killing shades until he remembers.
Nothing jogs my memory like killing
you
shades.
need to access the sealed verses.
It's like,
to
if you
gain
had
his
hiccups,
powers.
don't scare him.
You need to power up
shades.
Grimoire Weiss, and then you need to find Grimoire Noir and face him, and everything will be great.
Everything.
And then like Gary Busey is like, okay, this is going way over my head. Will this fix Siona? Yes. Okay. I mean, I have found my motivation. So that is what you do.
Does it seem like a very convincing yes to that question?
Yeah. She'll be fine. I'll probably. I mean, yeah, probably.
Save who? Save who? Yona.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
anyway,
definitely. That's the
anyway,
prophecy.
you talk to Devla in the town square. Like there's children frolicking. She's like hanging out on her guitar, singing "Kluata Sunobarai." What's that?
Is that the song?
Yeah, it's a really beautiful song, but it's in a made up language of mix of Portuguese, Italian, Korean, Southern. Anyway, she's like, "Hey, what's that song you're always singing? What's that fucking weird song you're always singing? Oh, it's about hey, is that Grimoire Weiss? Yeah, it's actually a song of the ancients. It's talking about how if you do your job and get Grimoire Weiss's memories back and face Grimoire Noir, everything goes great." Okay. By the way, Popola wants you to go to the Eyrie. It's a neighboring village. By the way, you can ride boars to get there, and you can drift with them. Just
cool.
Hop a wheelie and just like drift. Those, like if the boar is moving its feet, you're not doing it right. You just power slide the boar across the world.
Initial D.
And and then you go to the Eyrie to drop off a package, and just get some idea where these sealed verses might be. And you find a shack, so you like rummage around. Grimoire Weiss is like, "Who the fuck lives here?" There's like 3 walls, half a roof. There's a bunch of lunar tear flowers here. I mean, I guess Yona would like this place, maybe. Anyway, yeah, Airie's a bunch of. The Eyrie is a village in the middle of a canyon, and people live in storage containers. Like U-Haul storage containers.
Like the kind you see on the highway.
They're just like faceted to the wall, and they don't come out. They just say, like, "Get out of here. We don't want your kind here."
Oh, wow.
Flying books? No, you.
The book can stay. I'd rather like books. He can stay.
Yeah. It's Gary Busey. We don't want his kind here.
He was in that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie that we feel promotes.
So you go to the mayor, you drop off his package, like, "Hey, yeah, tell Popola she can stay, but you have to leave. She's not here." "Oh, well, why am I talking to you?" Anyway, if you see, on your way out, you run into you decide to rummage around that shack again, and the owner has shown up. And the owner is a white-haired anime girl. At first, it looks like a pretty standard anime girl. It's a white-haired anime girl who meets the very strictest definition of clothed. She is wearing clothes in all the legal places. All the legal obligations are being met. She has a shirt and shoes. She gets service.
Damn it.
And she immediately starts swearing. Every sentence has a
expletive.
Yeah, every sentence has a expletive. Yeah, I was trying to think of the a preposition, a subject, noun, a preposition, and an expletive.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, or of course you can mix and match expletives with any of them. Yeah.
No predicate in this sentence.
"Yo, shit hog, what the fuck are you doing in my fucking shack?"
Does she drop the F-bomb?
Yes, immediately.
Oh, this is Xbox One. Yeah, I mean Xbox 360. We're well into
this is
video games.
This is kind of you get a lot of panty shots with her because she kicks. She kicks, she punches. She's got 2 saw blades for swords, and she does not want you being in her shack. And Grimoire Weiss immediately just calls her a hussy. "What the fuck is that? That's quite the outfit. That's not an outfit. That's lingerie."
Oh wow! So
What the fuck is this hussy doing telling us to get out of a shack? I like this shack. That's my shack now. Unfortunately, a giant shade has heard about a hussy in a giant shack, and he's all about that. And it turns out these shades, which are the Gestalts, if you haven't pieced that together, the humans that have lost their bodies.
Yeah.
Turns out this guy, he might be a lot of humans who have lost their bodies and decide that, it might be cool to just become a giant salamander with a perv boner.
Human instrumentality. That was Gendo's goal the whole time in Ava.
And he shows up and attacks. And I'm actually I'm just gonna start mixing and matching events because the game, it's
open world, isn't it?
It's. I'm condensing things here, but when you meet Kaine, you leave her behind, then you come back, and together you fight this thing, and you kick it out, and then it's like, oh, okay, get out of my shack. Okay, fine. So you go to a Forest of Myth, and Forest of Myth is a place where a bunch of people just hang out in trees all day.
Because why wouldn't you? They're there.
Yeah, well, something's wrong with my dreams, man.
Hey, man, something's wrong with my dreams, man.
Can you fix our dreams? I Grimoire Vice, can we do that? And then, before you even, I guess we'll try. The game becomes a novel. A text adventure.
What?
It's just black screen, white text. You are on a path. There is a road going north. Go east.
No, for real, opposite exits are north, south.
Grimoire Vice gives running commentary the entire time. What the fuck? Where are we now? Okay, we're in a forest going east. Okay. Yeah.
You're being very vocal.
You're going through a desert city. Windows glisten. It is impossible to say how anything was ever built as such. There is a road going west.
So is it literally oh man, you got to see this, but it's text?
It's just text speech.
Build up this beautiful imagery?
Yeah,
that is so mean. That is so
This game genre shifts 8 times. It's mostly Legend of Zelda. But it's also sometimes Myth.
Myst?
Myst, yeah, sorry.
Yep.
It is sometimes something. It's sometimes an Atari game. It's sometimes a rail shooter. It is what it wants to be. Anyway, you fix dreams by doing text-speech adventures. You go back to the Aerie as you talk to the hussy, whose name is Kaine. She has a name.
Her name's Kanye?
Kaine.
Okay.
Kaine. She has a much fouler mouth than Kanye, and a much better personality.
Kanye's a born again. He doesn't cuss anymore.
Yeah, Kaine was born fine the first time. Anyway, this monster is attacking the area again, and you prove what good guest you are by choosing to fight it in town.
You want me out now?
Yeah, Kaine is the self-appointed guardian of this village because she grew up there. She doesn't know anything else. But everyone there hates her. And it's not because of her personality. There's another reason they hate her.
Because she doesn't wear clothes.
She wears bandages on one leg. The other leg is perfectly
nude,
yeah. She's not wearing a whole lot. But she does wear bandages on one side of her body.
Oh, on one side of her body or
one
one
side
leg?
of her body. One arm, one leg. And lingerie,
bandages.
Lingerie. It's technically more of a shirt that she should have grown out of at 13.
But
apart
everyone
from
hates
that,
her, or she get a shirt.
Yeah. Apart from that,
Let's be fair.
She's just this is how I dress. Want to
Good
fight
for her.
about it?
No, good for her.
Fuck you.
Yeah, she could dress how she wants. She's a grown woman.
Foul-mouthed hussy.
She can talk how she wants. She's a grown woman. Vice is.
The hussy is at it again. Anyway, you fight this thing, and it wrecks the shit out of the village. And you finish it off by doing a ground pound with your red fist powers, doing a Donkey Kong downward B.
Has Nier shown any indication that he remembers 1,300 years ago?
No,
okay,
not at all. He doesn't care.
Okay,
he has to save his daughter. And there's a giant shade. Killing it might help.
Okay, well,
Anyway.
I understand that. I just don't know. I didn't know if that seems important, whether or not.
He recognizes that obviously there was something, but that was 1,300 years ago.
So he wasn't conscious.
Look, I understand there's a theory that this train bridge actually had trains at some point. But I don't personally subscribe to the idea.
He doesn't remember the grocery store.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's what I'm getting at.
There's no memories. He hasn't actually had that many memories before. He just remembers Yona,
Okay.
basically, and vaguely memories of his wife, but she's dead. Yona's all that matters. And you impale this thing by basically, you crush this thing so hard into the ground it breaks through the floor and impales itself on a support beam. Which finally kills it. Then you
the number one killers of shades in California.
Yeah. And then Kaine is knocked out during the battle, but she wakes up, and Nier's like, hey, I don't think your village is going to want you around. You want to come with us? And Grimoire Weiss was like, no. Okay. But I'm not going. But she doesn't go into town. She's not a very big people person. She'll hang around with you. Friendship is growing. Well, not friendship. A tolerance for each other's company is growing, and a mutual need for violence.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, which is a healthy.
That's how I made all my friends. That's how I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go to a junk heap, a factory town full of robots, just a bunch of scrap.
Operational robots or just scrap?
Yes.
I got you. Loud and clear.
There are some robots that work. There are some that kind of work.
There's ones that earn their keep, and there's others what wants to live off others.
There's steam vents that are still cranking out steam. There's elevators that go up and down. Some of them don't. And there's two brothers who are like, hey, our mom left us to go explore in the ruins to provide for us because she's such a good mom, and we'd like you to go in there and help find her. And Kaine is like, sure, whatever. And Grimoire Weiss is like, yes, this is a grand adventure. Yes, I'm sure there might be some sealed verses in there. I don't know. I don't much care. And Nier is a nice guy. Gary Busey, he's a nice guy. Yes, I will find your mother. Parenthood is a sacred thing.
So Yona is all that matters, but it's not like he's reluctantly helping these people.
No,
he's a good man.
He's a good man. He wants to help. Yeah.
Unlike the guy in Drakengard, who was a bad person.
Nier is a very sincerely earnest man. He is Ernest P. Worrell. Only he takes things a little more seriously.
Yeah. Oh my God, in Vice is Vern.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the whole thing's Ernest. Ernest.
Like, okay, so he charges into a factory and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, but he kills robots. Robots are basically shades anyway. And you fight Andros. Pretty much
Polygonal Andros?
Pretty much polygonal.
Right,
It's a robot face with robot arms. You fight your way through it, and you do get a sealed verse out of it, and you find the mom, along with her lover, who was taking her away from her children, her horrible, horrible children, to live a new life. She was abandoning them.
So Nier's not going to be a big fan of this.
No, he's like, God damn it, is what he says. And Grimoire Weiss is like, don't look. I know you're. He's actually sympathetic. Like, yeah, this is pretty terrible. You're good. You're better. You're a good dad, Nier. You're a good guy, Nier.
Hey, Nier. I just want you to know, man.
And you can tell the older brother, like, she was with her. Like, he seems to like she was with that guy, wasn't she? I'm just glad she died with someone she cared about. It couldn't have been easy raising me and my brother alone in this post-apocalyptic hell.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And he's like, hey, if you ever need like a sword elongated or widened, I've got scrap.
How old are these kids?
The oldest one is like 14. The youngest one is like 10.
So it's not like children. It's like... Because 14 in animes, you're old enough to save the world. So.
Yeah, basically he's like, I can provide for my brother, but really I'd rather have mom back. And the 10-year-old is really just not ready to cope with his mom being gone. And in fact, he's got some severe issues, but that's not. He's got his brother, and that's fine. And he's okay. He's got his brother. Anyway,
so it's enough to be heartbreaking, but not enough to where Nier looks like an asshole for leaving them.
In fact, as you're leaving, Grimoire, like Nier, is like, I should I have told them, or should I not have told them? And then like you see the brothers waving goodbye to you, like Grimoire Weiss is like, you did the right thing, man. Don't doubt that. And even Kaine is just like, yeah, well, I'm sure they'll be okay.
I like Weiss. I like him. He seems all right. It seems a lot better than Noor.
Yeah.
Nor was a little pushy.
Yeah. And there's one other place you need to go because part 1 is about to come to an end.
That's perfect, actually. Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Part 1.
So there is a kingdom in the desert that is known as the Kingdom of Facade, and there may be a.
This
sealed
sounds
verse.
suspicious.
There might be a sealed verse there. And Kaine is like, yeah, I saved one of them from once, and they let me in their walls. It's weird. I don't know if I trust someone who lets me hang around.
I like that. I don't trust these folks. Why? Because they like me.
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Anyway, so you go there, and they're like, "Hey, I'm really glad to see you guys here, but according to Rule 33, 4-7, you can't come into the village right now because we don't have a king because he's dead and his son is missing." Well, why don't you go find the prince? Oh shit. Well, Ordinance 50/B says this gate needs to be guarded at all times by no less than 2 people. Can anybody else go find the prince? No, because we both just happen to draw the find prince duty, and according to Ordinance 503, that is non-transferable. Can I go find the prince? Oh, this is that's a gray area. Technically, you're not supposed to go to where the prince went because the prince went to get an artifact that would allow him to claim the kingship. Your outsiders aren't allowed, but technically the only reason you can't go in is because there would be a guard there, and I'm supposed to be guarding there, but I'm supposed to be guarding here. So
this is so busy. I love it.
There's no guard at the shrine, so I guess if you go there,
no one will stop.
No one will stop you, and you can bring the prince back. And then all the laws. Our system of laws is very intricate, but it works when it works.
This system is not perfect, but it works. Okay,
It's the one we have. It's lasted 1,300 years, admittedly. It's lasted through some shit. We have a Venetian canoe system, which is actually really cool, that flows on quicksand, which is really cool.
That is cool.
I mean, you can see it when you're done with this awesome quest. So you go to this dungeon, which is just a dungeon. Like, you must pass these trials. That wasn't being facetious. I was just being sick. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you go through a bunch of different dungeons. Like, in this room, you must walk everywhere. If you accidentally double tap the left control stick, you will be sent to the beginning of the maze.
Oh, because then you would be running.
In this room, you must not use magic. All the enemies are flyers. You have no ranged weapons. In this room, you must not take damage. All the enemies bullet spam. And in this room, you must not use foul language. And Kaine immediately gets Oompa Loompa'd. Oompa, Joomba, Woomba, Gobbledy-Goo.
Do you get when you say a cuss word?
A flying block shows up, and Kaine looks up like, what the fuck? And then she gets teleported into the block and thrown away. And Grimoire Weiss is like, huh. Okay, so I guess we follow the rules. Anyway, you finally get Kaine back. She breaks out of rule prison because she's cool. And you reunite just in time for the big boss fight against another Star Fox enemy. A bunch of blocks forming different shapes, basically a Lego boss. And you finish it off with your standard awesome cinematic flair and a little prince who... doesn't speak any language you can understand, but Grimoire Weiss can figure out what he's getting at more or less. He's he's kind of a brat, to be honest. He sounds like young Link. Yeah. Anyway, apparently this little kid whose balls have not even dropped yet was supposed to destroy Andros. To become the king. But since you did that for him, he immediately runs to the center of the room, grabs the sacred mask, because everyone in the Kingdom of Facade wears a mask as part of a rule. This is the king's mask.
Facade, they'll wear masks. Yeah.
Anyway, he grabs the king's mask, and he does The mask hovers above his hand. He poses.
Da-da-da-da.
The music plays.
Really? The exact music.
It is not exact. It's toned down to be not copyrighted, but yes. It's just da-da-da. And then he brings it back. Hey, the prince is back, and he's okay. And now you're royal guests, and okay, congratulations. Oh, I remember how you can understand him. Grimoire Weiss meets a immigrant to this society who does not understand the language herself. She can't speak it, but she understands it, and she can relate that in her own sign language. And Grimoire Weiss understands sign language, so he figures out their gobbledygook language that way. And anyway, the king invites you to the royal palace, and the advisor is like, yes, well, I understand you came here looking for a cure for a black scroll that's killing your daughter, because we were looking for a cure to save the king. We failed to save the king.
Oof.
We don't really have that here, but the real treasure is the friends and sealed verses you found along the way. And I look forward to seeing you again, kind friends. And Kaine, we love you. Kaine. God, these people freak me out, man. These fuckers. God, she's tsundere for the world in this case.
It's kind of the...
It's not that I like this kingdom or anything. Baka. Anyway, it's about time to report in, I think, to your home village. By the way, you've been a neglectful fucking father the entire time, because Yona keeps sending you... the loading screens are either weird documents from the mid-2000s detailing containment efforts of the epidemic, experiments to ward off the event, things that mean nothing to you, or letters from your daughter like, hey, Dad, I'm really glad you came by last weekend so we can have a tea party. If you could stop trying to save my unsolvable illness and just like live with me for a few days, I think I'd be happier. Don't worry, you have all the time in the world to do that. Because you're going home. I mean, you got all the sealed verses. I mean, hell. Well, what else is there? It's not like there's a part 2. Anyway, you go home, and Popa is like, hey, there's something going on at the front gate. Can you go check on that? There's some weird music. There's some really cool music building up. There's 2 guys holding the gate. It's one of those situations where there's a big fucking gate that is shaking at the seams, and there's two guys which Carl, you're holding it. You get closer to the middle, damn it! We need center mass. And
Didn't you take physics, Carl?
And then a giant tentacle just breaks through. It turns into a hand. And congratulations, there's a giant shade is just broken into the village. Everyone's running away, dying, getting butchered by shades. And you just keep waylaying on it. And every time you knock its health down to 0, it just refills. It just keeps going. And Yona and all the villagers have been evacuated to the library. And all the guards have been trying to handle the smaller shades. They're not doing a whole hell of a good job with it. But Kaine shows up to help you fight the cool-ass boss. And she does so by dropping from space somehow. And doing the anime thing where she dual wields razor swords, slices its head off, and then flies into the camera with her face forward.
Oh yeah,
in the most anime cutscene way possible. And then she's like, "Hey, that was cool. I guess he's done." Then he gets back up. Well, fuck, we can do that again, I guess. So this time you just like, okay, I'm going to use my red fist power to uppercut him and knock his head off. You do that, he gets back up. Okay, I'm going to use my Dark Lance power to pierce his heart, and then shove a bunch more spikes in him until he stops doing that. Okay, he's staying down, so I think we can trust him to stay down this time. So you go into the library, and he gets back up, breaks in, and this time you just like, okay, let's just shove him in the basement. We're just gonna put him in the basement.
Forget he's there,
and just. It's like when you've got like a dead rat in your room. You don't want to touch it, so you just sweep it under your bed. And it's fine. And And unfortunately, Kaine is like, okay, I can hold this gate, probably. Does anyone have a key or like a bar or like some nails? And then like, and Nier is like, yeah, I got a nail. And then he looks down his shoulder and there's a sword poking through him. Oh, fuck. There is a humanoid dark guy who looks a lot like you. A shade with wings who looks a lot like you, and he's got a black book. Grimoire Noir is showing up to party.
Oh.
And this guy he's hanging out with just kind of flies up to the top with Yona and hangs out there. You managed to recover from your sword wound, and Grimoire Weiss faces off with Noir. Grimoire Noir is saying, you and I are going to unite, and we're going to make everything great again. We're going to unite. We're gonna do you and me, brother. You and me, brother.
We're not so different, you and I.
Don't you remember your purpose, Grimoire Weiss? Grimoire Noir is voiced by Wesker from Resident Evil.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
And right when Grimoire Weiss is almost kind of like, yeah, I guess I do kind of remember. And then Kaine just cuts through all the crap. Weiss, you dumbass. Start making sense, you stupid book, or you're going to be sorry. Maybe I'll rip out your pages one by one. Maybe I'll chuck you in the goddamn furnace. How can someone with such a big, smart brain get hypnotized like a little bitch? So pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us.
And does he?
Yeah. Like in his dream state, he's hearing Kaine call him a little bitch. And right when he's saying, yes, the plan. Wait, little bitch? Did some hussy just call me Grimoire Weiss a little bitch? So he comes back to the real world and says, Grimoire Noir, fuck you. I have my friends. I'm going to help my friends.
Aww.
And I'm sorry, I completely forgot about Emil. You go to a Resident Evil mansion. There's a blind kid who has eyes that will petrify you if he sees you. He's cute. He had the hots for your daughter. He was a pen pal for her. You were a little bit daddy about that, and he's come to help you too. I'm sorry, I forgot about Emil. He's important.
He's here now.
That's what's important. He's here with all the friends.
Yeah.
And he has eyes that can petrify, so he's really pulling his weight in this fight. And his mansion also has a Resident Evil lab. He has Umbrella Labs. He lives on top of Umbrella Laboratories, which just don't look too deep into that. Like, yeah, I've been here for about as long as I can remember. My butler's kind of a robot. I have magic petrifying eyes, and right when it looks like all our friends together we can do anything, and then Nier takes another sword slash through the other shoulder, or no, right through the chest, like, oh, right above the navel, one place I didn't think to armor. And then he falls over. The black guy who looks a lot like you, the shade guy who looks just like you, flies off with Yona. No, my one purpose.
Right.
And then kind of like, man, I really hate to just be that guy right now, but this thing is still trying to get out of the basement.
Oh yeah.
And okay, Emil, I need you to petrify me in place so this thing can't get out. And then there's a choice. No, there must be a better way. And then in parentheses it says, do nothing and be annihilated. Or the first choice, petrify Kaine to save yourself. And that's what you do. You petrify Kaine, you pass out from blood loss. Emil is really mopey. Grimoire Weiss is like, well, fuck. And that is part 1 of Nier.
And so we're already off to a great start. We've changed genres twice so far.
Yeah, pretty much.
And but I encourage you to come back. We didn't realize this would be a 2-parter, but Don's passion and love for this game has turned into so. Meet us back next week where we'll discuss more Nier.
Yeah.
And if you want to know when we're discussing Nier again, be sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, and you know what? Share the gift of Nier with your friends this year. Yeah. Share this out.
Yeah, they want Nier Automata, but they need Nier.